Communications. We're here this morning as part of the accountability briefing to give a report on the period ranging January to July 2025. As you will recall, the ministry has already done 2 such briefings quarterly. And so the Ministry of Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, under His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, continues to drive Ghana's digital transformation agenda with a focus on 4 key strategic priorities. And these areas are: 1, expanding access to reliable and affordable digital infrastructure; 2, developing inclusive digital skills and talent; 3, strengthening the regulatory and security framework of a digital ecosystem; and 4, enabling innovation, entrepreneurship, and the growth of a robust technology sector. From January to July 2025, the ministry has made substantial progress across all 4 areas, in line with His Excellency the President's reset agenda and pre-election commitments. Now, I'll go into our strategic priorities and the milestones that we have achieved. The first will be the 1 million coders program, which was duly launched. On 16th April 2025, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama officially launched the 1 million coders program, a flagship digital skills development initiative aimed at equipping 1 million young Ghanaians with relevant digital skills. The program received overwhelming interest, with over 90,000 applications submitted within the first 48 hours of opening in the portal. The pilot phase, which was rolled out in Accra, Kumasi, Sunyani, and Bolgatanga, has successfully trained 859 participants, of which 52% were women. The program is on track to train another 50,000 learners by end of this year. The implementation of this program is inclusive by design, engaging our local assemblies, schools, community ICC centers, and members of parliament to ensure national coverage and regional equity. Now, in line with this, I've received a lot of questions about why people have not been able to get responses to the applications that were made. We're going to be working on that based on the strategic partnerships that we're beginning to sign. In the period under review, we have signed strategic partnerships with Huawei and Google. We entered into a formal partnership arrangement with these technology giants to drive deeper integration between policy, research, and practical innovations. These partnerships will see both Google and Huawei train 100,000 beneficiaries each under the 1 million coders program. This represents a deliberate move to prepare students for the evolving demands of the digital technology economy under President John Mahama. And my gratitude goes to both technology giants, Huawei and Google, for their belief in the John Dramani Mahama vision. And let us be clear, this Google certificates and Huawei training programs are going to be a mix of in-person and online training programs. And so we'll be rolling out the plan very soon in every constituency in the country to allow for people to take these trainings. And the beauty of the Google 100,000 training is Google already has its AI research lab here in Ghana, and what we're trying to do is to train the people using Google's own certification program, and then on the back of that, get them employed to work with Google or any of its partners and affiliates. The next thing we'll talk about as a national priority is data cost and data prices. The ministry has successfully fulfilled its commitments to reduce data costs for Ghanaians. Effective 1st of July 2025, all major mobile network operators implemented revised mobile data tariffs, significantly increasing the volume of data at existing price points and effectively reducing the price of data. MTN increased all data bundles by 15%, while Telecel and Airtel Tigo raised theirs by 10%. High-use data bundles also saw major improvements, such as the restoration of MTN's 399 Ghana cedi bundle, which now offers 214 gigabytes of data as against the 92 gigabytes of data before the Mahama administration. These changes were the result of a comprehensive reform package introduced in the first quarter of this year, which included a national spectrum review, a revised licensing condition tied to pricing commitments, and direct regulatory engagement with the MNOs. Additionally, the 3 leading operators have committed to invest a combined $150 million in their networks by the end of the year to improve quality of service and reliability. And let me make the point here that we are very well aware of the challenges of the networks relative to quality of service. And as I indicated in my last press briefing, we've given them the third quarter to implement and utilize the spectrum that has been made available to them. And subsequent to that, in Q4, we will begin rigorous enforcement of quality of service. We will not hesitate as a ministry to give policy direction to the regulator, the NCA, to impose very hefty fines on companies or mobile network operators who fail to meet their quality of service obligations. I would also segue here into the issue of that has become topical of data and data running faster and disappearing. Let me be clear. My fidelity and that of the ministry and the government of President Mahama is to the Ghanaian people. Our interest is the best interest of the Ghanaian people. However, these are technical issues that we would only be able to act on the basis of evidence and not sentiments. I have seen a number of complaints on social media, and I've set up a specialized task force at the NCA and at all the mobile network operators to deal with these complaints. Let me state on the record, every single one of the complaints that have been referred to the team have been investigated, and all of them have proven that it is user settings and user behaviors that have affected the use of their data, and that there has been no price tampering. Let me reiterate, I will not hesitate to deal decisively as minister with any telecom company that falters or alters the pricing that is approved by the NCA. But unless there is evidence of same, you cannot punish somebody just because people are making a claim that is not backed by the evidence. And I can show to the media today evidence, maybe in the Q&A, of some of these instances. In fact, the last one that was dealt with that I got a report on this morning, the individual complained. I asked the NCA to reach out to him. For 48 hours, he did not respond. So I had to go back on X and retweet at him and say that we've been trying to reach out to you. When we did the investigation, it turned out that he actually handed his own device over to somebody. And when they did the record, they realized that the person used it to watch and stream videos. And that's how come the data he was expecting to keep. And I have evidence of this. I mean, and some of them, we've actually urged some of them to come out and do public sensitization. I'm sure you all saw the one by Mr. DKB when he complained about his data, and subsequently he realized that it was from his own user behavior. But like I said, we will continue to deal with every single one that comes our way. The third thing we've done is comprehensive ICT legal reform. The ministry has completed a thorough internal review of all existing ICT laws, regulations, and policies. As a result, 15 new pieces of legislation are being drafted as we speak. These include amendments to the Data Protection Act, the new cybersecurity regulations, the Ghana Innovation and Startup Bill, and frameworks for artificial intelligence, digital trade, platform governance, and cloud services. I dare say that at no point in time in the history of our country has any ministry worked on 15 new pieces of legislation at the same time. But that's what we're doing, because when we say there is a reset for the 24-hour economy, this is the digital reset to put Ghana in preparedness to roll out President John Dramani Mahama's 24-hour economy. This legal overhaul is designed to modernize Ghana's ICT regulatory architecture in line with global standards and preserving national interest and inclusivity. The Ghana Startup Bill has undergone both national and regional stakeholder consultations and is now in the final legal drafting phase. This law will provide clarity legally for startups, tax exemptions, incentives, and a streamlined compliance framework for innovation-led firms. In line with the ministry's vision of establishing an enabling legislative framework to foster a competitive, investor-ready digital economy, Ghana has been chosen to host the 2025 Global Entrepreneurship Festival, slated for November this year, which will bring in over 100,000 innovators and venture capitalists into the country for a 3-day event holding here in Accra to invest in local startups. 4, Ghana's National AI Strategy and Digital Transformation Blueprint. The Ministry of Communications has led the drafting of Ghana's National Artificial Intelligence Strategy. This draft strategy, which has been co-created through high-level consultations with stakeholders, including the British High Commission, UNESCO, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology's Responsible AI Lab, and GIZ, and the UNDP, has led to a strategy document which has completed legal reviews and is scheduled for cabinet presentation this quarter. Parallel to this, we have continued in May to launch the National Digital Transformation and Emerging Technology Strategy. This document sets out a roadmap for ethical and sovereign integration of emerging technologies, particularly artificial intelligence, across sectors such as agriculture, healthcare, logistics, financial inclusion, and education. This strategy reinforces Ghana's commitment to inclusive, right-based digital development. At the ministry, we have taken action aimed at reform, integrity, and oversight. Because like I stated in my first accountability report, we believe that the Operation Recover All Loot initiative of His Excellency the President is multi-sectoral. And so at our ministry, we have decided to embark on that. First, and reporting on under that will be the Kelny GVG contract. Following concerns about the cost effectiveness of the Kelny GVG revenue monitoring contract, the ministry referred the matter to the Attorney General's Department for review. We have noted that the value of money paid to Kelny GVG has increasingly increased as a percentage of revenue, rising from 28% to 84% in October 2024. I have directed a renegotiation of the terms of the Kelny GVG contract for the remainder of the contract pending the Attorney General's advice, and we have also made the decision not to extend the contract beyond its current terminal date. Smart Infraco and compliance enforcement. You remember and recall that in my first brief to the country, I indicated that we had realized that a private company, Smart Infraco, had 100% access to the National Data Center, and the National IT Agency did not have any access. I immediately directed that should be rectified, and as we speak, NITA has 95% access and root access to the National Data Center and all of our infrastructure. Smart Infraco has also failed to honor multiple financial obligations under the agreements that they have with the ministry, including an upfront payment of $2 million and annual payments of $1 million. I have directed enforcement and compliance of those terms immediately. Efforts are underway now to compel full payment of arrears, else we would take advice from the legal counsel to terminate that contract in order to protect the public interest. NGIC and 5G. The NGIC, Next Generation Infrastructure Company, the exclusive shared neutral 4G, 5G infrastructure provider, is progressing steadily towards its target of activating 350 5G-ready cell sites by the last quarter of 2025, with at least 50 live sites for 5G expected in Accra and Kumasi. As of today, NGIC has deployed 16 5G-ready sites and received full NCA approval for its core network infrastructure. I've also indicated in my last briefing that failure by NGIC to roll out full commercial activities by end of Q4 this year will lead to me terminating the terms of that contract, taking away the exclusivity clause in there, and opening it up for fresh negotiations. 4, Ghana.gov. The Ghana.gov platform has run under the previous administration of President Akufo-Addo without a contract. Millions of Ghana cedis, in fact, hundreds, tens of millions of Ghana cedis were paid every month to companies without a contract. We have put an end and a stop to that. Since President Mahama came into office, not a peswa has been paid on that because we cannot keep paying for a project that has no contract. The ministry has redesigned the project. We're going to launch it in Q4 of this year, working closely with the Ministry of Finance. We're currently at the Public Procurement Authority seeking clearance to proceed with a public tender to ensure that the best value for money is achieved for the Ghanaian people. The redesigned site will feature faster access, full Ghana card integration, an intuitive, streamlined interface tailored for both individuals and businesses, and will harmonize all of government's payment gateways and platforms into one portal. 5, Operation Recover or Loot Oral, specific to broadcasting frequency audit. As part of the government's oral initiative, the ministry directed the NCA to conduct a comprehensive audit of broadcasting frequencies. The first phase of the audit revealed multiple regulatory infractions with a total estimated tax penalty of 9.5 million Ghana cedis. Several stations have already been shut down for non-compliance. The ministry remains committed to reclaiming state assets and ensuring that frequencies are allocated transparently and in accordance with law. And you will also recollect that about 5 weeks ago, the ministry issued a directive to the NCA to shut down 64 radio stations. The President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, intervened and requested for amnesty, which we granted a 30-day amnesty. Let me state that of the 64 radio stations, 58 of them have written to the NCA and started the process of regularizing their paperwork. However, you would recall that I indicated that the total number of radio stations in default was 210. The 64 was just one phase. We expect that the public sensitization with the first batch of 64 would have compelled the others to have taken steps to rectify their anomaly. For all those who have failed to take any step, there will be no further public announcement on it. There simply will be enforcement in order of protecting the public resource. 6, girls in ICT. The ministry has scaled the 2025 Girls in ICT initiative across the Volta region, Upper East region, and Upper West region as part of efforts to close the gender gap in digital skills. In June this year, 1,000 girls from 18 districts in the Volta region completed a 3-week practical training program covering web development, game animation, cybersecurity, and coding, equipping them with relevant tools for Ghana's future digital economy. The Girls in ICT initiative reinforces our inclusive digital transformation agenda by investing in the next generation of female tech leaders and ensures that digital opportunity is genuinely national. And let me once again remind you that this initiative was an initiative that started under President John Evans Atta Mills and Vice President John Dramani Mahama in 2012. Now, on consumer and public interest protection efforts, I'll start with PayPal. The ministry has formally reopened engagements with PayPal to restore full access to its service for Ghanaian users. As of June 2025, PayPal's regional government relations team has issued Ghana a compliance roadmap outlining the technical, regulatory, and financial standards required for whitelist reinstatement. The ministry is working closely with the Bank of Ghana and other key stakeholders to fulfill these conditions and to ensure PayPal also meets the necessary requirements to operate in Ghana. This effort is a strategic priority to expand access to global digital payment platforms for freelancers, SMEs, startups, and the creative sector. Securing PayPal access will remove a long-standing barrier to participation in the global digital economy and expand financial inclusion and cross-border trade opportunities for millions of Ghanaians. We're working closely with the governor of the Bank of Ghana to ensure that PayPal is given access to our economy and our digital space. However, we'll insist that PayPal will comply with the regulations of the Bank of Ghana. 2, TikTok. As part of our efforts to promote a safe, vibrant, and inclusive digital creative economy, I met with TikTok's West Africa Government Relations team on the 26th of June. Our discussions focused on enforcing age restrictions, safeguarding minors, and promoting responsible content development. I urged TikTok in that meeting to ensure fair compensation for Ghanaian content creators, and I also proposed the establishment of a local moderation and content governance team to reflect Ghana's value, protect our user rights, and support national regulatory expectations. I'm looking forward to the TikTok partnership with the ministry to provide capacity building for our content creators in the country on how best to monetize that platform for the benefit of Ghanaian content creators. That should happen in Q4 this year. Now, MultiChoice Ghana. I made the announcement that I had directed MultiChoice to be present at the ministry for a meeting. At that meeting, we requested a 30% reduction in pricing for subscribers of MultiChoice Ghana's packages. The meeting addressed public concerns about affordability, value for money, and fairness in service delivery. I made clear the ministry's expectation that pricing structures had to be responsive to Ghana's current economic context. I made a formal request of 30% reduction in the package pricing and gave a deadline of July 21st for a formal response from MultiChoice. On the 21st of July this year, I received a 9-page letter from MultiChoice detailing why they were refusing to reduce their pricing. Their reasons included that the cedi had depreciated in the preceding 8 years by 240%. And they claimed that my request for a reduction on the basis of the appreciation of the cedi was unfounded because, in their words, the appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi over the last 6 months has been a fluke which could not be sustainable. As minister, my fidelity is to the Ghanaian people. I have had to act in the interest of the Ghanaian people. And I believe that the Ghanaian people have been fleeced and exploited for too long. I wrote back to the NCA on Monday and directed the NCA in that letter to suspend the broadcasting license of DSTV effective 7th of August 2025 if they fail to effect a reduction in their bundle prices. I cannot, as minister, serving the Ghanaian people, continue to watch what can best be described as plain stealing happening to the Ghanaian people. In my letter to them, I gave them scenarios from 7 markets that DSTV is operating in. The same content in the premium bouquet that is offered to Ghanaians for $83 equivalent is offered to Nigerians for $29 equivalent. How can anyone explain this price disparity to me? Enough of the mistreatment of the Ghanaian consumer. They either comply with the reduction, because in Nigeria, in the same time frame that they say the Ghanaian cedi has depreciated by 240%, the Nigerian naira has depreciated by 409%. If Nigerians are paying equivalent of $29, DSTV must charge same here in Ghana, or we will suspend their broadcasting license effective 7th of August 2025. The ministry would continue to leverage our public, private, and bilateral partnerships to expand digital opportunities, attract investment, and catalyze structural reforms across the ICT sector. In telecom sector restructuring, there's a major realignment underway with Airtel Tigo. We're working closely with the Attorney General's Department to look at the financial viability of Airtel Tigo, and we're currently in negotiations with a number of options on what the way forward with Airtel Tigo will be. I'm sure in the next 30 days, we'll make a national announcement on what will happen with Airtel Tigo. On youth and skills development, apart from the strategic partnerships that we have signed with Huawei and Google, we have also signed strategic partnerships with MTN and Telecel, 2 telecom operators in the country, to train and help co-develop Ghana's National Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center. This agreement will see the commitment of critical resource to the training of 5,000 young people in artificial intelligence and related digital skills over the next 18 months. MTN Ghana, as part of their contribution to government, is building a $25 million Artificial Intelligence Innovation Center at the Accra Digital Center in Circle. This partnership will strengthen Ghana's institutional and workforce readiness for AI adoption. Earlier this year, the ministry signed an MOU with the UAE government to co-develop a $1 billion Ghana UAE Innovation Hub. The project will anchor high-tech manufacturing, startup incubation, and digital services with a multi-phase construction scheduled to commence in 2026. Currently, we have just completed work with the Lands Commission in identifying the 25-kilometer square land in Dawa in the Ningo Prampram district to begin the construction work. In conclusion, the Ministry of Digital Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation continues to reaffirm its commitment to building a secure, inclusive, and innovation-driven digital economy. The first half of 2025 has seen tangible results in law reform, digital inclusion, infrastructure rollout, sector regulations, and strategic partnerships. As we enter the second half of the year, we remain focused on consolidating these gains and delivering a digital Ghana that benefits every citizen, every business, and every region. In July, at my last Meet the Press, I reaffirmed Ghana's digital leadership, and I will continue to do so as I did at the ITU Council in Geneva, where I secured alignment with global telecom agendas and strengthening bilateral cooperations on digital infrastructure and governance. I wish to express my sincere appreciation to all the agencies of the ministry, our partners, our stakeholders, and Ghanaians who have supported and engaged with our work so far. Together, we are shaping a digital future that is equitable, that is resilient, and full of opportunities for all. But before I end, let me just touch on one other thing we have done as a ministry, has been in the area of law enforcement, from the Cybersecurity Authority. We have carried out a number of operations in collaboration with other state agencies. Coming Monday, the CSA and the police CID will hold a joint press conference to give full details of all the work that we have done. But we are committed to clamping down on illegal activities in the cyberspace, especially human trafficking. We're seeing a lot of human trafficking happen in the country, but I want to say a very big thank you to the leadership of the Cybersecurity Authority and our allied security agencies in the national security architecture who have worked with us to keep Ghana resilient. Thank you.